Well, it's possible that the longest tenured SNL member could be done with the show. Kenan Thompson, after 22 seasons, is throwing out some cryptic texts like it might be over for him. He said big things are coming as SNL will be entering into its 51st season next year. So my question, being on there for 22 years, and he's been a solid part of that show the entire time, does he make the Mount Rushmore of SNL cast member greats?
He's done a lot of lifting, man. He's been there a long time.
And he has been solid. He has been solid. The only thing for me is I was looking over the list of all the greats that have come through Saturday Night Live is how many memorable Kenan Thompson moments do you have where you're like, oh my gosh, I love that skit when he was in, I love that character he did of, and I drew a blank. And I think he's great. I do like him on there, but he didn't make my list for that reason. Just because the recall wasn't there. I couldn't think of it. And maybe I'm not being fair to Kenan Thompson because maybe it is there, the character, the skit, the moment. But the ones that made my top four, I've got those kind of moments where I remember a specific laugh, a specific character when they did it. So if you had to rank out your favorite four, who do you put? Here's my list. I go with Dana Carvey. Dana Carvey was the lunch lady, the church lady, or he was the church lady. He had so many other skits.
Got to exorcise the demons.
Yeah, that was fantastic. He did great political stuff back in the 90s when you could actually laugh about politics and it wasn't so heated.
Did he do Ross Perot a lot?
He would do the Ross Perot. He did, I'm trying to think who else.
Did he do George W?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so he did so many on that. I remember he did one skit, just a random one, where it was some offshoot. I think it was a one-off skit where he had a severe brain injury, but it was an open wound on his scalp, and everybody's like freaking out. And he was at this party, and then he lays down on the couch, and the dog comes up and starts licking the wound, and everybody's freaking out. I just remember how hysterical that was. I was like, he just was very versatile and had a lot of laugh out loud moments.
He also had chopping broccoli.
Yeah, he did.
Chopper Bacala.
Chopper Bacala. He was made for that show. So I put Dana Carvey on there, and the guy who was really the person you needed with him in so many skits was Phil Hartman. And Phil Hartman, passed away in the mid-'90s, sadly. A weird freak accident kind of thing, too, with his wife, if I remember right.
Yes, she murdered him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because I remember Dana Carvey, I think Dana Carvey was playing Johnny Carson, and he was
Yes.
Johnny, yes.
Yes,
Johnny, yeah, and he was really good. He and Dana Carvey together, in fact, they did a lot of the political stuff together. So I put Phil Hartman on there. I'm going to put Will Ferrell on that list as well. He had a lot of memorable moments and characters. The cowbell. I mean, that's just such an iconic skit from Saturday Night Live, one of their most, and he was the cowbell guy that really kind of made that. And that's only just one thing he did on that show.
He had a lot of great moments on SNL.
Yes, he did.
Is it Dr. Poop, the one I love? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, with the
I mean, it is such a weird, bizarre sketch.
He was out there. There were some sketches where you're like, whoa, that was so out. But he took some chances. And I appreciate that. I love Will Ferrell. So he's going to make my favorite four. And then I'm going to put Chris Farley in there. He was just also made for that show. The one skit that he did with the Chippendale Dancers, whereas he and Patrick Swayze, and Swayze's look like a Chippendale dancer, and here he was so out of shape, and he couldn't figure out why he didn't make it.
And I think he was sort of embarrassed to do that bit.
Yes,
and
I think so too. I've heard that.
And he had people, talk him into it because it was such a funny bit.
Didn't Bob Odenkirk hate that bit? Was that him? Somebody went on record saying they hated that bit.
Yeah, because I think they saw him, sad about it behind the scenes.
Yeah,
and,
I
but
could
it was
see
very
that.
funny.
I mean, it was iconic, and I mean, it's still today. It's a meme that lasts. I mean, Chris Farley was off that show in 1995, and that is still something you see today, where he's dancing as the Chippendale dancer.
And he's got moves. He can move.
Right, he has moves.
great.
Yeah, he was. I mean, him doing cartwheels and all that kind of stuff. All the things Chris Farley used to do, and so that's where I would just say, for me, I don't have those moments with Kenan Thompson. That's why he wasn't up there in the four. But that is my favorite four SNL cast members. Denny's, who makes your favorite four list?
So I mean, we had a little bit of crossover on there, but I picked,
good.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to pick some different ones. So I'm gonna go with David Spade. I thought was awesome. He's got the bye bye skit on the airplane.
Yep.
I'd also throw a Kristen Wiig in there.
Okay.
I just thought when she was on, it was great.
She was very good.
I liked Molly Shannon a lot too. I like Superstar.
Yep.
I mean, that was it. So you can see a lot of the ones I watched was in that same era.
Yeah, I think that might be part of it too. I think we all maybe have our SNL era. I definitely had mine in the early to mid '90s.
Yeah, we like the Farley, Sandler, Spade.
The Phil Hartman.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my era.
That era. So I got Molly Shannon, Kristen Wiig, David Spade. I think for my final one, I mean, and again, it was kind of in that same era. I like the Jim Brewer, man.
Okay.
I thought he was good on there. I
Goat
think he was
Boy.
short-lived. Goat Boy, I mean, obviously, it's probably one of his biggest skits.
Yep.
And he did the Joe Pesci show. He was the host, Joe Pesci, on that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Where he's like, you shampoo my wife? You remember? If you remember that skit.
Then he started to go for his area. Nobody's going to get this.
All the other ones you guys jumped
Back
on
out quick.
immediately.
Back out quick.
Did you hear how he kind of?
I can feel it.
You guys kinda-
I can feel it.
You could hear him just falling off. All right, Jaybird, your favorite 4 SNL cast members.
We got a lot of crossover. I love Kristen Wiig. I thought she was hilarious. I thought Phil Hartman is probably my favorite.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
up there for me.
I just think he was so talented
You
to
could-
a level that
Caveman lawyer,
You could make a massive case for Phil Hartman being the number 1.
colon blow.
Yeah, I love Adam
Yeah.
Sandler because he's goofy.
He was close. In fact, I have him at 5. He just missed my
I have
4.
him too.
The fourth is always the hardest, and I've
Yep.
got 5 people that would make that 4th. But I really like Bill Hader.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah, he is good. In fact, he's just naturally a really funny guy. He did the show Barry, I think, and watched
Yep.
that. And then I just saw him in an interview he'd done with Conan O'Brien, and he was just naturally hysterical.
Well,
He's
he's
a
a- he-
very funny dude.
He was a writer on South Park as well.
He's in that documentary
Yeah,
that we were
yeah,
talking
he
about earlier
wrote
on
for
the
them.
show.
Yeah, he was
did.
a writer.
Yeah, no, he does a show, or he did a show with Fred Armisen. It's called Documentary Now. To me, it's one of the
I have
most
that on my
underrated
yes.
Oh, that
shows
show's
ever
awesome.
made.
I have that on my Netflix, and I've just never gotten to it. I don't know why. It hasn't spoken to me.
It's kind of, I think it's a little nichey.
Yeah,
It might
but
be
it's on my
not for
list.
everybody. Kind of alternative comedy, but it's very funny.
So they take documentaries and they just parody them, like to the
Yeah.
T, very
Okay.
well, and they make a joke out of it, and they just do it so well because they know the source material.
It's a good concept. I
It's
like it.
great concept.
The first 2 seasons they do are awesome.
Okay, so break it down again one more time. Your favorite 4 SNL cast members of all time. I got Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Will Ferrell, Chris Farley. Denny's?
I got David Spade, Kristen Wiig, Molly Shannon, and Jim Brewer.
Bert?
Kristen Wiig, Phil Hartman, Adam Sandler, Bill Hader.
People are really going in on me that I got no original cast members on my list. And I will tell you, the Chevy Chases and the Steve Martins and all that, John Belushi, okay, but it's almost like what they were doing was so groundbreaking. But when I look at it, I don't even laugh at those skits. I'm like, okay,
No.
it is what it is, and it was unique and at the time, but to me, it doesn't stand the test of time.
People
Just
are-
because you were there first doesn't mean you were the best.
People are saying Eddie Murphy. Keep in mind, Eddie Murphy was on a couple seasons where it wasn't, the show itself wasn't that good, and he saved it
Right.
with Joe Piscopo. But there was
Yes.
a lot of bad writing during that point.
And he only was on there 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, the Buckwheat stuff was great, and the Gumby, he had a couple, memorable characters without a doubt, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. So he made his mark in 4 seasons, but Jaybird is right that he didn't have a great cast around him, where when my list, this is the golden era, you could argue, of SNL, where there were 4
Yes.
or 5 or 6 really good cast members.
You could argue that SNL almost, Eddie Murphy was too good for SNL. He was, as a
absolutely.
stand-up.
He was already
Yeah.
funny without SNL.
He
yeah.
was. He really didn't need it. He went in there and he still made it good, even though the whole show wasn't. So, as far as the voting goes, finishing in last place, Jaybird, 25% of the vote.
I think it's the Bill Hader.
Maybe.
I don't know.
They must. I just don't think a lot of people know Bill Hader. Like he's done a couple characters on like the Weekend Update, but yeah, I think he's one of the funniest.
I think he's one of the most talented people who's come out of SNL, but I think his time on SNL for me didn't put him in the top 4.
I get it. Yeah, I blew it.
Denny's second, 32% of the vote, and I got 43%.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, for my list. Now, to me, the ones that I think were most surprising that really didn't make any list. We don't have an Adam Sandler on there, and he had Lunch Lady, and he was solid. He had a really good showing. Mike Myers did not make anybody's list, right?
I had Sandler
You
on
had
my
Sandler,
list.
but nobody had Mike Myers, right?
No, I almost had him. Yeah.
I don't know. He's obviously funny and talented.
Yeah.
But you know, just sometimes it doesn't hit for you.
Wayne's World was,
Yeah.
Wayne's World was a massive skit.
And that was
at
one
the
of the
time.
skits.
Yeah, that was going on in that era, and it's the era I loved. But Wayne's World was okay, but it wasn't enough to put him in my top 4.
I can see if you were forced to watch Wayne's World 1 and 2, you would be kind of bummed out if you had to do that.
1, I'm all right with.
So I
I
said
might go
one's
back-
good.
Yeah, 2 is.
2 is pretty whack.
I don't think you're excited watching
It
it.
just got forced. A lot of the comedy on that was forced.
2 is pretty whack.
Andy Samberg.
I
Yeah,
love him.
we were talking behind the scenes about him.
Nobody went with him. And then Jason Sudeikis, who was on there for 9 seasons and has Ted Lasso and you know, didn't make anybody's list.
He makes me laugh too, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of them, it's just I watched the era with Phil Hartman, Will Ferrell, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler,
Right.
David Spade. So a lot of my choices are going to be from that era, just because I tapped out after Tina Fey, and I just tapped out of SNL.
Well, you look at Kenan Thompson, who made nobody's list after 22 seasons that he's got, and maybe more. Who knows if he's done or not. But somebody I would liken to him is Daryl Hammond, who was solid, very solid on SNL, 14 seasons. But he doesn't make your final 4 list.
But there's value in being solid and
Yes.
not being the
Right.
superstar.
Right.
You need that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I feel like Kenan Thompson's kind of been that glue because you've got the continuity. If you have that in the Weekend Update, is good, which they've had with Colin Jost and Michael Shea are very solid on that. If you had those 2, then you could kind of go up and down with the rest of the cast, and for those 2 things, it would kind of hold it out and still be watchable.
It's one of them things they always say SNL's going away. SNL's going away. It's done. It's on its last leg, but it still
I think it's going to
remains.
continue on, and I really do think Colin Jost is very talented, really good. I could see him being the guy that takes over for that. I think SNL's got some legs. I think they'll find a way to keep it around.
But they could reinvent it.
Well, you always need a place where new comedians need to test their chops and need to do stuff, and there's always going to be a market for it.
And Denny's right. I mean, you can reinvent it and make it. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half long either. That's
Shorten
long.
it. An hour and a
Right.
half is
Absolutely,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, the joke is always no one watches the last 15 minutes because that's all the throwaway material.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they could do it, and especially when you repurpose it. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in probably 20 years.
Oh.
And I see pretty much all the good skits that I want to see because everything's on demand now.
It is quite crazy. SNL would be something that on Saturday night, if I wasn't out doing something, I would.
Right.
It would be a thing where I go, oh, it's 11:30. It's time
Yeah.
to put SNL on.
Right. Yeah, I think it has a place in the world, maybe just not the way it has been.
This is how we do. It's the KBJ Show.